Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Katie and I am the designer and creator over at Eclectic by Katie. And today we are going to be going through a tutorial for this very cute little polar bear in a jumper. And how cute is he? He can be used for a gift for a birthday or just a special gift. Can be a Valentine's gift. Can add a cute little heart pillow or something on the front. It can be for Christmas. Oh, he's just adorable. And he's a little plushie. So he's made with plush yarn, velvet plush yarn. And I'm just going to give you the full measurement. So top to toe, he is about 23 centimetres. So that's around 9 inches tall. Of course, if you want to use a chunkier yarn or a bigger hook than what I've used, of course, you can make them a little bit bigger if you want to. But this is him. He is absolutely adorable and I hope you enjoy making him. I'm just going to pop through the materials that I've used for this. So I've just used a velvet plush yarn, as I say, in white. Now it would be good to have 2 skeins of this available, just because when we come to work on him, we work from the feet and we go up and then we work on the face, and then I like to stop before closing the head, just so then we can add in the eyes and add the muzzle and everything on. So it's a lot easier for you. So we go through the white velvet yarn, preferably 2 skeins if you can. If not, you'll have to work from both ends of your skein. I also use this slightly chunkier yarn, which is for the jumper. And I didn't realise until I started using this, but this is quite a lot thicker than this one. It doesn't look it, but when you're actually working with it, you'll find that there might be slightly different thicknesses. I also use the black just DK yarn for around his eyes and for his eyebrows. You can also add some other facial features like a mouth if you want to. You can put a mouth on there. Of course, we need some stuffing to stuff him with. Plenty of that if you have it. I use white cotton thread just to sew up the muzzle and to add on the arms. Now we have dressmaking pins, and that would be just to keep certain things in place when you are sewing them on. We have a nose, which I used a 20mm nose, and it's just like a dog's nose. So if you have a look, very similar to a dog's nose, but they are for polar bears as well. And that's a 20mm one that I've used. I've used these safety eyes, just the clear ones, and then you just add your colour to the back, and I've used blue for mine, so the blue sparkly eyes. I like to use a lighter just for singeing the ends, but of course if you're not a responsible adult, get someone else to do that for you. I use these just for my stuffing, putting my stuffing in certain areas, and it's just to get them all the way in. And you can get these on Amazon. They're just surgical, I can't actually remember what they're called, but they're surgical instruments that you would use for your stuffing. They are fantastic. I use a 5mm hook, a standard tapestry needle or darning needle, just a blunt one will be fine. And I use a nice long sewing needle, and that is to sew on your muzzle and your arms, and that then ensures you get all the way through the body. I have a pair of scissors just for, of course, snipping off the ends of your yarn, and we need to use at least 3 stitch markers. So there is a part in the legs where we need to use 3, so if you get at least 3 stitch markers, that would be fantastic. But other than that, it's all just hard work. So we are just using single crochet stitches. We don't use anything spectacular. And if you are a seasoned crocheter, like some people like to call themselves, or an intermediate crocheter, this polar bear should take you around an hour to complete, from start to finish. If there's any point where I'm dragging on, of course you can just pause the video and then just crack on and get it done yourself, and then come back to the video and forward it on to the parts that you need. The written pattern is of course available on Etsy, so you can download the pattern, the written pattern. If you would prefer to just use the written pattern, that's perfectly fine. So I'll leave the link to that in the description. So get your hooks ready, let's get started. Okay, so we're just going to start with the feet. So we're going to start right at the tip of the feet and then work up the leg and then onto the body. Now just a tip, when using plushie yarn, it does fray quite a lot, so I do like to singe the end just with a lighter, just to make sure that that doesn't come apart. And also we are working in the round, but we are not going to be working in a magic ring, because I find trying to tighten a magic ring or trying to tighten a normal ring, it doesn't tighten as well with plushie yarn. It does tend to fray quite a bit, so it's a bit frustrating. So we are just going to do a slip knot as normal, and then we are going to do a chain 2. So make sure that the first chain is a little bit looser than normal, so you just allow a little bit of extra leg room in there, and then chain again. So we've got 2 chains, and then we are just going to be working into this first chain for our ring. Okay, so we are going to put 6 single crochets, normal single crochets, into that ring. So if you just get into the habit of using your stitch marker, pop that into your first stitch and then work 6 single crochets around. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now I'm going to try my best to show you this. It's very difficult when you're using white or even black yarn to show you the stitches, but I'll do my best. So once you've got your 6 single crochets, that is your first round. We are now going to be working in round 2, and we need to put in 2 single crochets into each stitch around. So we are going to be doing an increase in every stitch. So again, get into the habit of putting in your stitch marker into the first stitch and put 2 single crochets into each stitch around. So you should end up with 12 stitches at the end. So I'll see you at the other end after you've done your 12 stitches. Okay, so that's my 12 stitches around, and it should be quite flat at the moment because that is the bottom bit of the foot. So we are now going to be working a single crochet all the way around for 12 stitches. So if you just take out your stitch marker, put in your first stitch, please get into the habit of putting that stitch marker back in your first stitch, and then that will keep you right throughout the project. And then just continue round for your 12 stitches, and I'll see you at the end of this round. Okay, so that was round 3, and you'll notice that your work is just starting to curl up a little bit, and that's where we're just going to start now creating the foot. So we've got the bottom here, we're going to come round, and we're now going to start adding in some decreases. So we bring in the foot. So for this round, this is going to be a decrease round. So we're going to do 3 single crochets to start. So 1 single crochet in each stitch for 3 stitches. So there's 1, and then 2, and 3, and then what we need to put in now is 3 decreases. Now I have covered decreases in my previous tutorials, but I'll just quickly go through it again with you here. And if you're not sure on how to do decreases, please refer to my previous tutorials. If you go on to Learn to Crochet with Katie, you'll find there are some basic stitches that you can go through, and it covers single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, and you know how to do the basics. So we do cover decreases, but what we need to do is just pick up the front loop on the next 2 stitches, grab your yarn and pull it through, so you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through, and that is a decrease. So we'll do that again. So into your front 2 loops, and this is an invisible decrease, so you shouldn't be able to see it. And there's 2, and then again 3. Oh. It's the only thing with plushie yarn, you can't see the stitch all the time. You'll have to, there. And there's your 3rd decrease. And you'll notice that's pulled it in and created the top of the foot. And then we need to do 3 single crochets into the remaining 3 stitches. We've got 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that is what it should look like. So now we can start round 5, and this is another decrease row, but this time we're going to start with 2 single crochets. We're just going to single crochet into the first stitch. There's 1, replace your stitch marker, and then another 1, and then decrease into the next 3 again like we did last time. So pulling up your front loops, there's 1. So it is a bit fiddly, you'll get there. And 3rd one, get there eventually, there. So that's 3 decreases, and you should have this 1 stitch left at the end, and we're going to do 1 single crochet into that stitch. So you should now have 6 stitches, and that is what our foot should look like. So we are now going to do some increases, because we're going to now start filling out and adding the legs. And so we are just going to do a single crochet in the first stitch, add a stitch marker. Please remember to put a stitch marker in, and then we are going to do an increase. So 2 single crochets into the same stitch, and we are going to do that 3 times. So single crochet, increase, and then single crochet, increase. And then a single crochet increase at the end. You should have 2 stitches here. There's 1, and then in the end stitch, put in an increase here, 1 and 2. That's the start of your leg. Should look like a little boot now. Now for the last round of the leg, we are just going to go all the way around for 9 stitches. So single crochet all the way around, and I shall see you at the end of this round. Okay, so that is 9 stitches around. Just going to pop out the stitch marker here, and what I'm going to do is just a chain 1, snip off our work here and pull that through, and I'm just going to add our stitch marker into that last stitch there, so you can see. And now I'm just going to finish off this here just by bringing that loop into the inside of the leg, because we're not going to need this anymore, and it's just going to get in the way. So I'm going to pull that a bit tight, not too tight. See what I mean about the plushie yarn being a bit of a nightmare to pull through. So we're just going to trim this a little bit, not too much, and then I'm just going to singe the end. If you're not comfortable using a lighter, make sure that you get a responsible adult to do it for you, and just make sure that your end doesn't fray at all, and then we can just stuff that inside the foot. So we are going to do that again, but when you get to the end, if you stop on your last round, so when you get to your 9 single crochets all the way around, we'll stop there. Okay, so just follow the pattern again and we'll get our second leg done. Okay, so we have finished our 2 feet or 2 legs, and now we are going to attach them. So I have added a tiny little bit of stuffing to the feet, just so that it makes it a little bit easier for us when it comes to stuffing. So if you want to do that, just pause the video while you do that. And for the next part, what I'm going to do is pop a stitch marker, not into the last stitch, but I need you to go into the second to last stitch in that foot or in that leg. Okay, so you've got this one, which is our last stitch, and then just pop it into that one. And then I need you to count 5 stitches back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then pop your stitch marker into there. And that basically secures them together. Okay. And now we are going to be working around both of the legs. So for this round, this is round 8, we are going to start off with just a single crochet, just remember to pop your stitch marker back in, and then we are going to do 2 increases. So we're going to do 2 single crochets into each of the next 2 stitches. So that's 1 and 2. And then we need to put in 4 single crochets along the front of the leg. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you need to pop a single crochet into where we've put our stitch marker. So if you pop this single crochet into there, and we will do the same on the other side. We can take out that stitch marker now because we don't need that. And then we need to do 4 single crochets along the front of there. So for the next 4 stitches, do 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then where we had our other stitch marker, we'll just take that out, and that should be our first increase. So pop an increase into there. So 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. And the second increase into here, 1 and 2. Now that should leave 2 stitches on that leg, 1 and 2. And then if we hop over to our other side, you should have just 1 stitch left. So if you just want to pop a single crochet into that last final stitch. There we go. And that is round 8. Okay, so we are now going to be working all the way around both legs from now on. So you should have had 22 stitches in that last round. And we're now going to add some more increases. Give him a bit of a tummy and a bit of a booty, and then we'll start filling him out a little bit. So starting in here, we're going to go in with a single crochet straight into your first stitch, and we are going to single crochet for 3 stitches. That's 1, 2 and 3, and then you need to do 2 increases in the next 2 stitches. So 1 increase and your second increase, and then you want 4 single crochets, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then you want an increase in the next 2 stitches, so 1 into here and then 1 in the other side. There you go. And then we want to do 4 single crochets along. 1, 2, 3 and 4. I'm just going to tuck this in because this is where I had a knot in my yarn and I had to singe the end, and it's got a funny colour. Sorry, so that was 4 single crochets, and then we want an increase in the next 2 stitches. So 1 increase in here and an increase in the next one. 1 and 2, and then you want 3 single crochets. 1, 2 and 3, and then you want an increase into the last stitch in here, 1 and 2, and then an increase into the last stitch in here. One and 2. There you are. So it's starting to fill out quite nicely. Okay, and that's the start of our body. So you should have 30 stitches around. So what we are going to be doing in the next round is we are going to be changing colour. So we're going to be adding his jumper. So as I've shown you in a previous video, you will see how I change colour. So if you want to do it that way, well, it's entirely up to you how you change colour, but this is how I do it. So I'm just going to start the next round, and we are literally just going around for 30 stitches. So it's up to you if you want to continue with the white, if you want it just to be your polar bear, if you do want it to have a jumper the same as mine, if you can change colour from here. So what I like to do when I'm changing colour is just start the stitch as normal. Just take that stitch marker out, make it a bit easier. So start off your stitch as normal and then pull your second loop through with your new colour. So keep both yarns here. So pull through with the first colour, then pull through with your second. And just go all the way around for 30 stitches, and I'll see you at the end of this round. Okay, so this is round 10 and we have done 30 single crochets all the way around. So we need to do round 11, which is the same again, but obviously we are going to do it in our new colour. So we are just going to single crochet all the way around for 30 stitches, and I'll see you at the other end of the round. Okay, so that is round 11. So you should have now 2 rows of just 30 single crochets all the way around. So now we are going to continue with the grey. Now my grey yarn is a little bit thicker than my white, so it will look a bit chunkier, but don't worry if yours is the same thickness. So for the next round we are going to be doing some decreases, and what we need to do is 3 single crochets. So 1, 2 and 3, and I'm just going to put my stitch marker back in. I'll go with orange today. So 3 in there, and then we need to do a decrease. So decrease away, and then we need to do that 6 times. So 3 single crochets in the next, sorry, a single crochet in the next 3 stitches, then a decrease, and then continue that round to the end of the row, and I'll see you at the end of the row. Okay, so I'm just coming to the end of this row now, so we should have just doing the last 3 and decrease, so 1, 2, 3 and decrease, so you should have 5 left. 1, 2, 3, and then decrease in the last 2 stitches. There you go. So now we are going to just single crochet all the way around. So there should be 24 stitches in that now, because we decreased 6 times there. So 30 take away the 6, so we should have 24 stitches. So if you single crochet for 24 stitches around, and I'll see you at the end of that row, round even. Okay, so that is the end of round 13, and we are now going to start round 14, and this time we are going to be doing 2 single crochets and then a decrease. So 1 and 2, and then you decrease in the next. And then 1, 2, and then a decrease in the next. And then continue that around for the rest of the row, so you should have 6 decreases again. So 2 stitches, 2 single crochets, decrease all the way around. I'll see you at the end of the row. Okay, so that is my last decrease done for that round, and we should have 18 stitches altogether. So for the next round we are going to be doing a single crochet in every stitch all the way around again. So we're going to single crochet for 18 stitches, and I shall see you at the end of this round. Okay, so that is 18 stitches around, and now what we need to do is a single crochet and a decrease all the way around 6 times. So the same as we did before, but instead we're doing a single crochet and then decrease. So it's every other stitch is a decrease. So I'm going to do that, and I'll see you at the end of this round. Okay, so that is the end of round 16. So we are now going to just stuff the body. So I'm just going to use small amounts of stuffing just to start filling the legs. You can just use your fingers for this if you want to. Or I sometimes like to use these, I don't know, I can't actually remember what they're called. They're like little pinchy things. I got them on Amazon, I think, but they're just they are actually surgical tools, but I can't remember what they're called now. If you can tell me what they're called, that'd be great. If you can just leave a comment for everybody else, and then just finish off with your fingers, just so then we can start building up his tummy. There we go. So that's his legs, feet, and the start of his body. And now we are going to do another round. So we are on round 17. Okay, that came apart, didn't it? No, it didn't. It's got stuffed in there. Right. So for this round we are doing just a single crochet all the way around for 12 stitches. So just single crochet all the way around for this round, and then I shall see you at the end of this round. Okay, so that is the end of that round. So we have done 12 stitches all the way around, and now what we need to do is change colour and go around again for 12 stitches. So we are going to do the same again like we did before. We're going to start our stitch as a normal single crochet with that colour, and then we are going to change back to our white, and this is going to be his neck. We just need to pull that through to start our new colour. making sure to keep it nice and tight for the grey, then all the way through, pull through, yarn over, yarn over with our fresh colour. Start that one again. So insert your hook, pull up your loop with your first colour, yarn over, pull through with the second. Make sure that your second colour's got a nice decent loop on it, because it is like you're doing a slip stitch, and they can be quite a bit tighter than a single crochet. So pull up your loop, yarn over and pull through. Like I say, leave a little bit of extra leg room and then pull this grey one tight. So we should see a much better colour change on this, because we're going from thicker yarn to thinner. So normal single crochet and pull that grey tight. So tight with the first colour, loose with the second. There you go. And then we're going to go all the way around for your 12 stitches. Okay, so we have finished our 12 stitches there, and I've just snipped off my end. And of course, because it's a part of our stitches there, you don't actually need to knot it or anything, because it's just an end. So there we go, and that's our 12 stitches with our colour change. In fact, what I'm going to do is, because we've got our white here as well, I'm just going to knot them together, and then we can shove them in together, can't we? So just triple knot them so it's nice and secure in there, and then we'll just hide them inside. So for our next round, it's going to be the first round of our head. So we are just going to go straight in to our first stitch here. Okay, and then we are going to do an increase, and we are going to do an increase in every stitch all the way around. So you should end up with 24 stitches. So it's 12 lots of increases. Okay, so I shall see you at the end of this round. Okay, so that is round one of our head, where we've done 12 increases, so we should have 24 stitches. And then in round two, we are going to do a single crochet and then an increase, and we're going to do that 12 times. So we should end up with 36 stitches at the end. So we are just going to single crochet in the first stitch. Make sure that you put in your stitch marker, and then increase into the next stitch. 1 and 2, and then continue that around. So single crochet, increase all the way around until you get 36 stitches in total. So I'll see you at the end of this round. Okay, so you should have 36 stitches at the end of that round, and that was round 2. So we're now going to start on round 3, and for the next 5 rounds we are going to be doing 36 stitches. So you're just going to go all the way around for 5 rows, just doing 36, and then that should bring our head up. So then it starts to then form the main part of the head. So this is what it should look like at the moment, and then it will start slimming down as we get further to the top of the head. So I'll see you at the end of those 5 rounds. Make sure that you use your stitch marker at the beginning of each round. So that should bring us to the end of round 7. So I'll see you at the end of that round. Okay, so that is the end of my 5 rows of 36 stitches. So that is the end of row 7, and that's what it should look like. It should look probably too big for what it is, but we're going to start doing our decreases now. So we're going to start pulling that in. Okay, so you can now see the definition in the chin area, and we can start doing a decrease row. So for this round, we are going to be doing 4 single crochets. So I'll just do 1, pop that back in there, and 2, 3, and 4, and then we are going to do a decrease, and we are going to continue that around for the remainder of the row, as you'd probably gathered. So as we have before, so we'll do 4 single crochets and a decrease. Okay, so I shall see you at the end of this round. You should have 30 stitches at the end of this round, and that's round 8. Okay, so this is what your head should look like now. So it's starting to come inwards, and we're going to do another decrease row, and instead of doing 4, we are going to do 3. So 3 single crochets and then a decrease. So I shall leave that with you. So 3 single crochets and a decrease 6 times, and then you should end up with 24 stitches at the end of this round, and this is round 9. Okay, so that's the end of round 9, and we are going to continue that around and do exactly the same again. As you probably gathered, we're going to do 2 single crochets and then a decrease 6 times, and then we're going to come to 18 stitches at the end of this round, and then we are going to start working on the muzzle, and then we will be able to attach that before we finish off the head. Okay, so we're just going to do the 2 single crochets decrease. We're going to do that for 1 round, and then I'll see you at the end of that round, and then we can start working on the muzzle. So this is what your head should look like now. So we've only got 1 more full row to finish on that, to complete that bit of head. But what I want to do is make the muzzle and everything and get that attached before finishing the head. So we're going to start on the muzzle next. And I'm going to start this the same way that we did with the feet. So we just need to do a slip knot, and then we are going to do 2 chains, and then we'll it's a single crochet into the first chain. So 2 chains, 1 and 2, and then we need to do in the ring here, we need to do 6 single crochets. So 1, just going to use a different stitch marker, pop that in there, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we just need to do an increase into each stitch. So if we take out our stitch marker, and then we'll work into here, 2 single crochets, 1, 2, make sure you're using your stitch marker in your first stitch. So that's 2 in there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. There you go. So that's 12 single crochets, and then what we need to do in each is single crochet and then increase as we did previously. So single crochet in the next and then increase, and then we should have 18 stitches at the end of that round. So I'll see you at the end of this round. Okay, so that is 18 stitches all the way around there. So we've done a single crochet increase 6 times. Okay, so what we are going to do now is just single crochet in every single stitch all the way around until we get to 18 stitches, and that's the final round for the muzzle. So I'll see you at the end of this round. Okay, so that's your 18 stitches all the way around. So we're just going to snip off the yarn for this. Just get rid of that ball of yarn. And then we're going to just chain 1 and pull your yarn through. Nice and tight. Take out your stitch marker, and then I'm just going to pull that through into the middle, so then we can use that as stuffing on the inside of your muzzle. Okay, so we're just going to stuff the head, not completely, just enough for us to be able to get a good idea of where we want to put the muzzle. So if we just add a little bit of stuffing, there, and that's enough for us to move around, and we'll be able to get our eyes in and everything. So there we go. So we can work out where we want our muzzle on there. Okay, so we want to add on our nose onto the muzzle. So we know roughly we want it sort of here. On there. Make sure that it looks right, so turn it on its side, make sure that you're happy with placement, and then pop your back on the nose. Make sure that you don't have any bits of yarn in the way. Just going to pop my back on. I can tell these aren't going to come back off again because they're a bit of a chew getting them on. There we go, nice and tight. There we go, and then we can pop our nose on with the muzzle, and then I'm just going to pin this into place just with a few of my dressmaking pins, just to keep it in place while I sew it on. And if you're not happy with how much it protrudes, you can add a tiny bit of stuffing if you like. So I'll see you at the end of this once you've got it all stitched into place, and then we'll start on the eyes. Okay, so I have finished stitching on the muzzle. I actually ended up going around twice just because this is for my little nephew. So, I mean, he's not under the age of 3, so I'm not overly concerned about anything being a choking hazard, but he's going to probably pull this around a little bit, so I want to make sure that it is secure. So I went round it twice, and just make sure that it is exactly where you want it to be. Turn it to, you know, whichever side. And then we just need to get our eyes and then decide where we are going to put them. So just put them in place where you think you're going to have them. And I'm going to have mine quite close to my muzzle, I think. I'm just going to show you these eyes because I have got some little blue bits on the back of these ones. So, and these are 10mm eyes. So I think I'm quite happy with them being there. So I'm going to pop the backs on. And you should be able to stick your fingers in and get your backs on. Like so. Put it nice and tight. Now with the other eyes I used to use, the smaller ones, the backs used to come off really easily. So I used to find that I had to melt the back of the eye, and you might need to do that with your eyes, but these are really, really tight, really secure, so I'm not overly concerned about these ones. And like I say, my nephew isn't young, so I'm not actually, he's not a toddler, so it's not overly concerning. So that is the eyes in place. So we just need to finish off the head. Okay. Okay, so we are just going to finish off the crochet part of the head. I've got a little bit pulled in there with the stuffing. Okay, so we are just going to decrease all the way around. So we are going to do 9 decreases. So you should end up with 9 stitches at the end of this round. So I'll see you at the end of this round. Okay, so we've just finished our final crochet row. So your head should look like this now. So I'm just going to snip it off, but just leave a bit of a tail so then you can actually sew the top closed. I'm just going to add a little bit more stuffing to the top of the head because it is quite loose, just from where I was putting in the eyes and everything. I wanted to make sure that I had plenty of room for my hands. So just top it up, finish stuffing the head, make sure that you are happy with it. Oh, that looks much better. You want it to feel quite firm because plushies do soften very quickly, so you do need to make sure that you stuff them well. There you go. That's his little head. I think that's enough stuffing for now. I'll just use a little bit more in the arms, I think. But yes, that is the head done. Apart from the ears, of course. And then we'll start adding some details once we've got those arms on. So I've just done a chain 1 and pulled the yarn through. And so we just need to pick up the front stitches all the way around. Make sure you do at least 9. So once you've gone all the way around, just ease it closed. Don't pull it too hard because plushie yarn will break very easily. So we've pulled it nice and tight, and then I like to secure that again and go around once more. And we're just going to start the ears in the same way. So we'll do a slip knot and chain 2, chain 1 and 2, and then we are going to do 6 single crochets into here, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then we are just going to do single crochet increase 3 times. So let's just find our first single crochet. It's here, so that's 1, and then increase. There you go, just do that 3 times. I'll see you at the end of this round. Okay, so it should look like this. So you've done 3 single crochet increases, so that should be 9 stitches, and now we are going to do a single crochet in every stitch all the way around. Okay, so I'll see you at the end of this round. Okay, so once you've done 9 single crochets around the outside, if you just ignore these tails, I've just done a chain 1 and just pulled the yarn through, and then what we're going to do is just pop the ears in place where you want them. I sort of have the yarn tail against the head, and then just decide where I want to put them. Of course, they've got that little curve in them because you've just done that final single crochet row. So I'm just going to get my pins and just pop the head sort of to one side so you can see the placement, and then you can make sure that you've got the other ear in the same place. And then I just like to work into the back and then into the front. So I shall see you once you've got those fixed in place. Okay, so I've just finished off sewing these ears on. So I'm going to finish off the tails. So I'm just going to lose all these pins so they're not in my way. And I'm just going to go back to my tapestry needle. So I'm just going to bring it down, because your yarn tail should be in the center of your ear, and then this one you can bring, so just go in where the corner of your ear is, and then out through the side where the other tail is. And I like to knot those so they don't come apart. And then do the same with the other ear. Okay, so we are going to start the arms from the top down. So we are going to do it exactly the same as we have been, except we're going to do it with the darker or the jumper colour. And then we're going to chain 2. And as we have before, we're going to do 6 single crochets into the first chain. Just going to stick a stitch marker in there. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, and the last one is 6. And then we are going to do single crochet and then an increase. So single crochet into your first single crochet, sorry, I did a yarn over there, didn't I? Yarn under. So single crochet and then an increase into the next stitch. So that's 2 single crochets into that stitch. Then we want a single crochet and an increase into this one. 1 and a 2. And again, single crochet. And then an increase into this end stitch. 1 and 2. Now we need to go, so that's you should have 9 stitches on that round, sorry. You need to go around 3 more times, so 3 full rows of 9 stitches. So single crochet in every stitch around for 3 rows, and I'll see you at the end of those 3 rows. Okay, so that's the end of our 3 rows, and I'm just going to snip it off there because we're just going to change the colour. So I'm just going to do a slip stitch into our first stitch there. Just to finish off that round. And then I'm going to add in our white. Now I'm doing the colour change like this simply because we are now going to be working in the back loop only. So just pull your white through. We'll tie that off in a moment. Okay. And then you just need to work in the back loop only with your white yarn, she says. And then single crochet around for 9 stitches in the back loop only. And then I'm just going to tie this off as well. So just 1 full row of that. And I'll see you at the end of that round. Okay, so this is what his sleeve should look like. And then we are just going to continue around, and this time we are going to do a single crochet and a decrease. So single crochet into the first stitch and then a normal invisible decrease into the next stitch, and then you want that 3 times, so I'll see you at the end. Okay, so yours might look a little bit like mine, lots of, like his hand doesn't exist there at the moment, but I'm just going to add some stuffing into the hand, and then we'll be able to close up the hand. There we go. And I'm just going to snip this off here. pull the yarn tail through, and then we're just going to thread the yarn into our tapestry needle, and then close it up as we have done previously. Okay, so once you have your arms in place, we are just going to get some black yarn, and we're just going to put some of the facial features in. So I'm just going to use my tapestry needle, and it's entirely up to you if you want to add these. You don't have to. You certainly don't have to. And I'm just going to go into the back of my head, because I like to go in through there so that it's nice and hidden. And then I'm just going to go into the corner of my eye. If it's going to play ball, just thread it through, and then we'll go through into the correct place. So we need to go into here. Okay. And then we are going to bring our yarn through, and then sort of across this way to here, and then across into our other eye, and then pull that down into there, and then back through here. There you go. And you can have that stand out as much as you like. And then I'm just going to tie that off at the back, because that's as tight as I'd like it to be. Okay, so we're just going to try and get that as symmetrical as we can. Just go straight across there, and then into the top of the head. And there we are. His little head is finished, I think. This one. I think he looks a little bit better with his eyebrows on and his eyes finished. So there you are. That's all finished. We're just going to tie this off. On both sides. And that is him done. There you are. Well, I hope you enjoyed making him, because I really did. And I know that my little nephew is going to love him as well. So I wonder what he's going to call him. So, there he is finished. Who are you going to gift yours to? Drop us a comment below. Make sure that you subscribe. Hit the bell button so you get notifications of my next pattern. What are you going to make next? Have a great day. Take care.